5 myth-busting facts on lupus and pregnancy, and specifically on surrogacy. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today for our Lupus Life Hacks series for Lupus Awareness Month. We have our special guest, Gabrielle, from her support group, and her support group is called Lupus Sisters. You can find it on Instagram and Facebook.
Yes.
Perfect. So our topic of today is going to be about lupus and pregnancy. It's something that we've all, I'm sure, have gone through at one point or in time or another, and lupus makes it very complicated, especially if you have other autoimmune issues like APS.
Yep.
So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, so let's dive right in. The first misconception that we've talked about is surrogacy. It's not affordable. And how did you come across it, and how did you figure out that this is something that you could do?
Well, this was a long journey. My husband and I, of course, wanted to start a family traditionally, but that just wasn't in the car for us because I have kidney involvement, lupus nephritis, and so that option was quickly thrown out the window, and we had to think about alternative ways that we could start our family. And the two things that were left on the table were surrogacy or adoption. And we decided to go the surrogacy route because we would be able to be a part of the baby biologically. And if that's, if we could do it that way, we wanted to do that because we were looking at two expensive options. And so we thought, okay, well, surrogacy gives us the upper hand as far as being a part of the baby biologically. So we actually, the funny thing is, my supervisor did IVF to start a family, and she introduced me to a place called the Center for Reproductive Medicine that specializes in IVF and surrogacy in alternate ways to start a family. And we've been working with CRM for short, we call them CRM, for years now because we were working to get my eggs in order to see, because IVF was something that we were going to do, and we are going to see if my eggs were ready.
Which is a in itself, just that.
Yeah, right. That was a lot of tests, a lot of blood draws, a lot of just appointments in general. And then we decided to go another route and talk about surrogacy. We took a class, we found out information, we found out the science behind it. And it so happened that we bought our house in a down market, meaning it was really affordable. Our home was a short sale, and by the time we sold it, I think 7 or 8 years later, it had recouped its value. So we were able to sell the house and use a good amount of the profits to go towards surrogacy. And that's how we were able to finagle the whole finance thing. We still ended up taking out a medium-sized loan, $12,000. But for the most part, profits from the house covered the costs for the procedure. I'm wondering, I think your question was how we came to that decision, right?
Yeah, well, yeah,
Or I answered that.
that's okay. Yeah, no, you answered actually. The myth was, it's not affordable, but it is affordable, and that's how you got to it.
That's right. I mean, it's not something you should do on a whim. Of
Right.
course, it takes proper planning, but with the right assets in place, even help from family or friends is really doable. If you think about it, over a certain amount of time, we're spending 20, $30,000. I mean, it's not like we have never spent that much in our life. I think just seeing that is sticker shock. When you see that on a piece of paper, it's like, oh, I can't do that. Um, it's not that bad. Now, let me tell you, it would have been unattainable if we did not know our surrogate. A lot of times going through an agency to get connected to a surrogate costs more than the actual embryo transfer, which is, putting sperm and eggs together to create an embryo and then transferring it into the gestational carrier. That part for us was about 20, 30 grand. But if you get an agency involved with a surrogate, you're looking at a bigger price tag. I
Oh,
mean, it can get, at least $25,000 to get a surrogate involved through an agency. And they really stress to us, find someone find someone who you trust. And it's just a better connection.
it is.
So we're very blessed to have someone in our circle that was willing and able, because she had to be at a certain, obviously healthy enough to carry, and that their family, it was a blessing to our family. So we were really blessed in that way. So there's a couple of things that need to be aligned and fall in line, but it is doable. It's not impossible.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, we have to get our priorities straight at that point, you know. So if, taking a loan, of course, is going to happen with everyone, but
Right,
that includes, maybe downsizing and what you're buying every week and
right.
something that you really want, like, you'll definitely find a way. And I'm glad to hear that you found someone that you knew. I think it really takes off a lot of, I mean, you have so much
Oh
worry
yeah.
and you're not there 24/7.
Mhm.
So, you know,
Right. Yeah. I mean, just with her, I'm in Orlando and
mhm,
she's in Tampa, and or actually Winter Haven, which is in between Tampa and Orlando. But even that distance, it's like I can't see you every day. You know what I'm saying? So obviously, there's a lot of texting, there's a lot of calling, and it's understood that, you know, this is what's happening. There's no like, ah, why are you calling me? Like we know why, and I'm so grateful to her, that she's receptive to all of that.
yeah, absolutely. That's so sweet of her. And I'm really, thank you for sharing this with us, and opening up because it's definitely a topic that people, for good reasons want to be private about. Um,
Hmm.
but it's really going to help so many of us understand like there are options and, just because we have lupus doesn't mean we can't have a family.
Right. That's exactly right. And that's the message that, I mean, even with traditional pregnancies, the outcomes are becoming a lot better. But there's some of us that just have some internal workings that are not, allowing us to carry as mothers. I mean, I was heartbroken, to have that snatched away from me. But I am so grateful that there's other opportunities to start a family.
That's odd. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
similar situation where I'm just like, but you know what? It's really, you definitely help bring a new light to the subject. That's for sure. So
Yeah. By me just being African American, I think even speaking about this, I'm hoping it opens a lot of doors for a lot of women, because typically, and you might go into this or we might go down the line later in our, talk here, but typically surrogacy is thought of as a privileged, white thing. I'm just going to say it, and that's not true. Or a celebrity thing. You know what I'm saying? It's not
yeah,
true. It's absolutely not true. I just don't think that we're represented. I don't think a lot of women are comfortable coming out. And the numbers probably are lower because it's not an inexpensive thing to do. But I really hope that by doing this and doing other work down the line that it becomes something that is regularly discussed and it's an option that's put on the table and it's not assumed that we can't afford. You know what I'm saying? Or it's not something that we want to do. We all deserve as women to see all the options that are available to us to start a
I
family.
couldn't agree more. There's always many options. Um, yeah, I definitely agree. I honestly I thought the same thing. I was like, I can't afford that. Like,
Yeah,
there's no way. I'm gonna go into like 100 grand of debt before
right.
baby's even there.
Yeah, yeah. No, there's definitely some shortcuts that
So,
you can take.
yeah, this is great. All right. So myth number two. There's actually I saw that people think that the baby would have the surrogate's DNA, which is clear that that never happens.
No, it's
Maybe
not. And
explain the science behind that.
yeah, sure. The science is, well, first off, let me just answer your question directly. That is not true. And I can see how a lot of people would think that because traditionally, if the egg were to come from my gestational carrier, she would biologically be the mother.
Mhm.
But since she is not providing the eggs for the embryo to be created, she has no part of the baby. We are simply scientifically borrowing her womb. So she's a carrier, and her DNA will not be a part of the baby's. Um, and how that works is um, there's an egg given and there's a sperm given traditionally. And usually, if I were carrying, of course, all of that would be in there and I would have the DNA and everything like that. But using an egg and the sperm, we created embryo outside of the womb. And through the procedure, and this is all the science and what costs money because it's pretty carefully done here by experts. Um, they put the embryo and the sperm together to grow the embryo. Did I put that up? They create the egg and the sperm together to create an embryo, and then it's transferred into the gestational carrier. And our transfer date was January 31st, and our due date is October 9th. So, they obviously look at the health of the embryo to make sure it's a viable embryo that is going to be able to survive the whole pregnancy. And honestly, if I could say one advantage of that, it is knowing that there are experts looking at your embryo and they're testing it for everything under the sun. There's many tests that are done in the whole process, and um, it reassures me that we gave our baby a fighting chance to be as healthy as possible in the womb. So if I could say there's one positive thing that maybe someone, unless they want to spend the money for testing, didn't have. It's a part of that process to know what's going on with your embryo before it's transferred.
I didn't know that they do the testing and everything
Yeah,
beforehand. That is actually that's amazing.
yeah,
I That makes it definitely, like you said, it makes it worthwhile.
yeah,
Um,
it definitely does.
oh,
I
sure.
figure we need something, right? Some good news,
Yeah.
right? So that's definitely a plus side of the surrogacy process.
For sure. Wow, that's really good to know. That's a common one I saw too.
Ooh, you know what? This is I know there are lawyers involved outside of the actual doctors who do the embryo transfer. We were also referred to a lawyer, and we're also referred to a psychiatrist. So a part of the process is that they need to be screened. Her and her husband were screened by the psychiatrist, answering questions like, do you want to be a part of this baby's life forever? Just questions that would tip
Yeah.
them to say, okay, she's not really in the right space to
Yeah.
know that you are a gestational carrier, which is a great role, an amazing role, but you are not going to be the mother to this child.
Right.
And she passed the test. She understood they're not even in the market, I guess to say, for kids. She already has a son of her own, which helped um, the psychiatrist to make her decision. And then there's a team of one lawyer that we have, and there's a lawyer on their side drawing up a contract that says that the child is ours. We are the quote unquote intended parents. So that's drawn in the contract. So even if we were to fall out, because
Yeah.
that's happened before, which is
Oh,
unfortunate
wow. Oh my
with some
God.
couples I've heard from my lawyer. Even if we were not to be on good terms, the contract specifies that the baby belongs to us, and there's court proceedings after the baby is born to make it legally ours. Because technically, she's going to be the quote unquote mother when the baby is born, but immediately my lawyer is going to go to court and change that. So my husband and I are parents, and it's going to be on the birth certificate. So
Oh, that's awesome.
right, right. I would feel some kind of way with somebody else's name on the birth certificate, but it's so great that they have that in the state of Florida. And I know a lot of states are further behind in that way, and then some states are further ahead. So I'm grateful that we're doing this in Florida and they have reasonable laws that protect us as the parents. But we do have to have a lawyer involved, and I'm not sure you can do this without a lawyer. So
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense to do it
yeah,
without.
I mean, it'd just be, better, better to be protected, rather than just relying on hope and making sure everybody's head space stays in the same place from beginning to end, you know?
Oh yeah, well, yeah, for sure. You know, what's funny is, so I've asked my sister, like maybe you could be a surrogate for me, and
Right. Uh-huh.
she's like, I don't know, I'd probably keep it, and I was like, no,
No, not by contract. So yeah, if you're gonna go that route, you definitely need to make sure that you have a good lawyer in place. But I'm sure she was just playing.
yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
that's what made me think. I was like, oh man, my sister's gonna keep my baby, and it's gonna be my niece or nephew, you know? Like,
Right. Big soap opera for sure.
oh my goodness. And rightfully so. It's a big fear of mine too. Trouble bonding with the baby because you don't have that, initial "I birthed you"
Mhm.
process. So how do is that something that you went through, I guess? I guess it's more of an opinion question.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly the science behind that. I'm sure there are theories and hypotheses to support both, maybe there is some ground you have to make up, let's say like that, or that it's more of a nurturing thing. I struggle with that. I'm going to be honest with you because, I'm missing a lot of bonding time with my baby not being right here in my belly.
Mhm.
But I am just thinking of practical ways that I can get the baby acclimated to our voices by doing recordings and things like that. The baby turns 20 weeks tomorrow.
Oh,
Yeah, and that's around the time that they're able to hear voices and start to get acclimated. And it's just so good for them to hear our voices. So when they're outside the womb, they can have that connection with us.
that's so
So
exciting.
yeah, so I mean that's one way. But I mean, as far as my opinion goes, of course, there's going to be that fear that you're not going to have that really close connection that you could because you're not caring. But, all of this that's happening, I'm just going to say it is because of God. And I don't think God's going to, you know, allow us to have this baby and the baby's going to be totally detached from us. I just don't think that that is possible. And we're doing everything on our end to make sure that that doesn't happen. So I can't say that that fear is not there. I can't say that I don't think sometimes that there's going to be a little bit of something that I'm going to have to overcome, or both of us are going to have to overcome in our relationship just because we didn't have that bonding time. But I'm telling you, once that baby is out, that baby's mine. And I have to remind myself, I am the mother. I
Absolutely.
am the mother. And it's something that I have to physically say out loud. It's something that I have to walk in confidence, because those thoughts can come in your head like, what if the baby is attached to my surrogate more than me? And what if it bonds with the surrogate more than me? Those are things that I have to let go and do everything I can to make sure that my baby knows that I am its mother.
Yeah, it's such a great point that you add. It's mindset essentially. Um,
Yeah.
it's by saying it out loud, it's a
Yeah.
transformation, and it's you
Mhm.
are you are consciously acknowledging what you believe in yourself, and that is such a huge difference between just thinking about it in your head and really walking
Right.
it.
Oh,
So
you have to say it out loud to take these thoughts captive, because if you just let it play in your mind, it's going to manifest in other places. I can easily see, I when I get down, I isolate. I could easily see if I let my thoughts come, I could kind of put myself in the proverbial corner somewhere.
yeah,
And I'm not going to let myself do that. And so I have to remind myself, I'm the mother of this child. We find out if it's a boy or a girl this weekend. So I can stop saying baby Davis and I can actually name this child. And, right. And it makes it better to have a name attached to the child. So I say I'm the mother, and I'm going to be the mother, and I'm going to prepare for the role as a mother, and I pray about motherhood. So I'm preparing myself. actively.
I love it. I think it's very empowering that it almost seems like you're doing a huge self-growth journey. Like this is teaching you a lot about yourself and what you're capable of, and it's
Yeah.
showing not only you, but because you're sharing it, it's showing us that it doesn't matter the start of the journey. It is that whole cliche of like where the destination's ending.
Right.
You know,
It's however you want to get there. This
yeah.
is just our journey to get there. Yeah.
Have you done any research on that, even though you have someone personally that you know?
I've actually started looking for support groups, and was actually doing a search on Instagram the other day, trying to find some stories. And just, I think I was feeling a little lonely at the point because
Yeah.
I think even though I'm going to be a mother, I've talked about this empowerment champ, right? It's so helpful, just like it's helpful to be a part of a community when you have lupus. It's really helpful to be a part of a surrogate community or intended parent community. And while looking that up on Instagram, I find some people just want to do that. Some people love being pregnant. Some people want to be a blessing purely for the act of blessing another family with a child. So it's not all about the money. Now, can I say that some people don't do it for the money? Um, I can't say that because
Mhm.
anything good, there's someone who's doing it for the wrong reasons. Um, but a way I see it, it's a lot to ask, and it's hard on the body. And I could see why someone would want to be
Yeah.
compensated. But it's just like with any passion or any activity, there's a gamut of reasons why people do the things they do. And I've actually read some really inspiring stories about people just loving being pregnant, and just really wanting to be a blessing. I mean, they're thrilled about it. They seek couples out, like they're available to do that. And so, you just never know what kind of communities are out there, but I think it's an amazing act being like obviously in it right now. It's an amazing thing. There's so many ins and outs, so many things that not only the body, but time. You have to be at appointments and things like that. And so, it's a lot to ask. And, those people who just do it for a blessing, God bless them. And those who get compensated for it, amen. It's all about what you and the intended parent agree upon. And I'm thankful that my surrogate family was just say, hey, God said we could do it. We're moving forward. And honestly, I'm gonna be dead honest with you. Their money, their mind wasn't even on the money, which we were like, there's no way we're gonna let you go through this process for 9 months and not compensate you in some way. Now, is it what we would have to pay the agency? No. And I don't feel comfortable disclosing how much
Yeah.
we,
No, it's okay.
but it's a good amount of money
Yeah.
that we have to save for, but it's nowhere near what we would have to pay for an agency.
Of course.
So I can even say in our case, our surrogate family has just been a blessing to us, and they've done it really, when you think about the numbers and the bottom line, out of the pureness of their heart. Seriously.
That's so
Yeah.
sweet. What a blessing. Seriously,
Yeah.
that
Yeah. We love them. Yeah. They've given us the greatest gift.
I'm so excited for you, and thank you for letting me be a part of this journey and
Of
sharing.
course.
And we hope to have you back, and we want to see
Yes.
pictures.
Yes, and I can even keep you updated whether we're having a boy or a girl. So that news will be coming soon.
It's so exciting. Oh, I
Yep.
love baby stories.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Okay, so our takeaway message for today is
That lupus does not stop you from having a family. There are alternate ways that you can do this. There's alternate ways that you can get to the end gift, the end of the rainbow. And surrogacy is one of them. It's not just for the privileged, it's not just for celebrities, it's not just for white people, it's for everyone. And there's a way that you can do it. Traditionally saving, use whatever asset you have. For us, it was real estate. And it's better to use someone you know just for your own comfort and because it can be a lot less money than what the agencies are going to charge you. So that's my I guess takeaway today is lupus doesn't stop you from starting a family, but there are alternate routes with a little bit of planning. You can have your own family.
Absolutely, and I am in support of any route to get there.
Yep, yep, yep.
So thank you so much, really, for collaborating with us for Lupus Awareness Month.
Of course.
Your online support group is in the description for anyone that wants to check it out. Is
Yep.
it online and in person, or?
Yes, I actually have a website that shares some of the everyday struggles and challenges of living with lupus. It's called lupussisters.com. I can be found on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook. So look for
All
me.
those below.
Yes, yes. And I look forward to connecting with anyone who wants to share their experiences with me and I with them.
Yes, anyone that wants to, comment about their journey or who wants to talk about it, please
Yep.
reach out to us. We would love to hear more and get the conversation really going.
Yes, and make sure you share this video because the
Yes,
message needs to go out that we have more possibilities than we could ever imagine in starting families.
yes, and thank
Yeah,
you for your story.
no problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, see you next time.
All right, thanks.